It's COVID Night Live with Rob Mosio, Russ Mielek, Marshall Malone, and our guest, Andre Hyland, presented by Upside Down Creative Media.
Good night, everyone. Welcome to another episode of COVID Night Live, where we interview comedians from all over the world via the internet, so we continue to do our part by not spreading that darn Chinese virus. I'm your host, Rob Mosio, streaming from Jack's Beach. With me tonight is my lovely producer, Marshall, who's streaming from Orange Park, Florida. And we're going to have an abbreviated show today, guys, because we have a heavyweight celebrity in the house. We have him streaming from the left coast, which we're going to be jumping to in the next 15 seconds. Time me. With us is actor, comedian, writer, editor, producer, artist, fashionista, and overall lovely human being, Andre Hyland. Andre, what's your temperature like today? And when was the last time you wore your mask?
I wore my mask today a bunch because there was someone here working on my neighbor's house and painting this house. So I wore my mask today to go outside. I wear my mask all the time. No joking.
Gotcha.
Wear your goddamn mask.
Wear your GD mask. This is a kid show. No, I'm just kidding around.
Not want Corona.
No, we do not. No, we do not. Were they wearing masks?
Who, the people outside? Yeah, they were. You know, it's funny. Like yesterday, like I'll go for a walk and I'll try to kind of like go on back streets to stay away from people.
Right.
And like the first half of my walk, it was like everybody had on masks. And it's like, great, people got the memo. And then on the walk back, it was just people carefree without their masks, just jogging around. I was just like, you assholes. Like, cool. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. No big deal.
Have you told anybody to put a mask on?
Like in public or whatever?
Yeah.
No, I haven't, because like most of the time I'm like, I don't want to be around their breath and talk to them. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm doing my part. Like, do people not get it? Like you wear the mask in case you have it, to not give it to them. And they return the favor, and it's reciprocal or whatever. Unless you have like an N95, that's like, more or less the only thing that can sort of help keep the corona out or away. Yes. Like it's real, it's fucking, and whatever. It's not whatever. It's like, I find it infuriating and frustrating, like, if someone's in their car, their windows rolled up, like that's fine, because they're pretty much like driving around behind a big sneeze bar buffet situation. But,
see, that's my favorite. The people that are driving with the windows up and the mask on.
I mean, keep doing it. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
To me, I'm like, well, if you're cruising around with your windows up and your mask off, that's fine. That's another contained system. Or that would protect otherwise. But people just jogging, like, yeah, it's fine. It's just like, I don't know,
spitting on the sidewalk and hacking a lung.
Yeah, I mean, like, how many times do you have to say, like, you can be asymptomatic and give it to someone who could potentially get very ill or die from it, and that's why you wear the mask, to protect them, and they return the favor by wearing the mask. But I guess if you're just talking to someone who doesn't believe any of it, then it just doesn't matter, or someone just doesn't care about the well-being of humanity.
Yes.
Like that's just, you're beating a dead horse,
Yes. And I even hate to say this, but I almost just feel like nobody really does care about humanity anymore. Am I right here, Andre?
I'd say there's a percentage of people that don't, and I'd say there's a frustrated percentage that do.
Yes. That's a good way of putting it. We do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Marsh and I are very big fans. Let's dive into this thing. We're going to hit the hard-hitting questions first. The Cincinnati Reds have 60 games. Are they going to win the World Series this year?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. Yes. The whole baseball with fans. That's interesting. That's going to be interesting.
Fans, you mean?
Yeah. Yes. Without fans.
I mean, that's fine. Just watch it on TV, whatever. It's not like baseball. I mean, of course, like in an ideal world, you have fans there, but like, I don't know, as far as a spectator goes, like if you go to a hockey game or an NBA game or whatever, like in an arena or a football game even, like the crowd is really participating. Right. Whereas baseball, the crowd, there'll be moments of tension where people will like get to the edge of their seat, maybe hoot and holler. On occasion, it'll get loud if it's like a big game and a tense moment. But for the most part, watching baseball, there's moments, of course, but for the most part, it's like going bowling with your buddies, but you're not even bowling. You know what I mean? You just kind of hang out and check something out, like, oh, that was crazy. Anyway, what were you saying about the Like, so I don't think it's gonna make a big difference.
No,
you know?
I don't think so either. Let's just keep drinking, right? That's pretty much what you do at a ball game.
Yeah,
All
I mean,
right.
baseball, I like having on in the background while I do stuff anyway. That's my favorite way. It just feels like summer when you got like just it on the radio even. So that's fine with me. You know?
Oh yeah, I'm ready for some sports. That's for sure.
Yeah, what I do is I've been YouTubing old Reds games. I'm not even joking. Like I'll just like YouTube like Reds 1995 full game or 2019 full game, and I just watched them beat the Oakland Athletics last year.
There you go.
Nothing. But I didn't know if I didn't know who won. It's just like a new game.
That's true. That's true. I have watched almost too many highlights now on YouTube. YouTube is chock full of fun stuff. Speaking of YouTube, I do know that you do not like being referred to as a YouTuber, and you haven't been posting much on YouTube lately. Have we retired from YouTube, Andre? Let's clear the air.
No, I mean, well, if someone wants to call me a YouTuber, that's fine. I just don't think it's accurate. I just think that'd be like, I'm a Facebook guy. It's like, yeah, I have a Facebook account. Like, whatever. I guess also too, just because like YouTube culture, if you will. I don't know. Like the stuff that's super popular on there, they don't care about me anyway. Like, or not in a dismissive. Like they don't care about me. Like I'm not.
I know what you mean.
Like it's a different lane. Like it's just sort of like. You know, I don't know. I've never been like and subscribe. What's up, YouTuber? And it's just like, you know, that's fine. A lot of, I guess, people really enjoy that stuff. I find it obnoxious, and it just feels desperate. But I feel like I'm probably the sort of dinosaur here now at this point, feeling that way because it's so like normal. Like I remember like being a kid and like. You know, growing up and watching like MTV and like bands would like half the time dismissively be like, they'd do like a station plug and be like, yeah, watch MTV or whatever. And like as a kid, I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool to be like, you know, to plug some bullshit on MTV. But then, but you know, maybe that's, you know, those guys then were just like, this is like corny, you know, whereas, you know, as a kid, you're like, oh, that seems neat. And now like, I don't know, with YouTube, if you do your own thing, it's like, it's cool to plug your thing. I don't know, whatever. But a lot of it is also not that there aren't loads of creative things, but so many things are so like I don't know. Like I'm sounding just snot. Well, whatever. Who cares? Is my opinion about it. Like I don't know. A lot of it is just so like me, like time filler, noisemaker. Not like hey, I took time to come up with an idea that I want to present. Like if someone's like I'm in my stuff too, but I don't really feel like it's about me. It's about like oh, I've got an idea for something I think is. Justify sharing it because it's like a complete thought or an idea or a joke or something interesting or whatever. And everybody's got their own version of what justifies, you know, I don't want to discourage anybody from doing the things they want to do. I just feel like a lot of YouTuber culture is just more about like, this is what I'm up to and this is what I'm doing. And apparently clearly there's like an audience of millions and millions who are interested in that, you know, like right now you're like asking me questions and you sparked this interview or conversation or whatever, and I'm happy to do it. But I don't feel like I need to get up every morning and just tell everybody what I'm thinking. Like, someone wants to do that, fine. But I, as someone who creates and makes stuff, like I find that really just sort of, I don't know, just boring. You know, like I don't know.
No, that's exactly what I think. I kind of almost felt so defeated whenever I noticed that like little kids were opening up boxes of toys and they were getting like hundreds of millions of viewers, and I was like, what am I doing wrong here? But
right.
Hey, real quick, like and subscribe. No, I'm just kidding around.
But you know, the funny flip side is like they're not wrong. That garbage works. That's like
exactly right.
Like my ratio of getting new viewers and subscribers and stuff is like pretty much plateaued because I don't do that stuff. And there is a practicality to it that I am aware of. But you know, like I guess. And again, like I don't know, my whatever dreams and aspirations were to have to make movies, to make features, and to do like TV shows. And I know that some of that, at least the way it had been for like 50 years, is kind of antiquated now compared to how it used to be. But that's what I want to do. I want to make full meals. I don't want to just keep throwing snacks out. So have I retired from YouTube? No, not at all. Just most of my energy creatively has gone into like writing feature scripts and trying to get those made and like kind of, I don't want to say graduate to the next level, but just like as you grow as someone who creates stuff or this or that, you feel like sometimes you're hitting repeat, you know what I mean? Like, or like, I've done that, I'm good at that or whatever. But like, I feel, I don't know. I feel like
You want something more.
I have new interests, you know,
Yes.
and growing interests and goals I've always been trying to reach, and I've gotten to accomplish some of those. But the problem is with bigger projects is you know, it's not always just money, but it's just more to corral. And
Sure.
as you get older and your collaborators have their own lives that keep expanding too, you know, some things become more difficult just because people don't have as much time to sort of donate or in a sense. And you know, when you don't have like a sizable budget, you know, like when I've done TV projects, you can just straight up hire people and whatever. But like, you know, it all varies. Just but bigger projects just take more people and they usually take more time. But you know, but people will be like, "You haven't made anything, or I haven't seen anything." It's like, dude, like I made a feature that's like out and available, and and I've been in other features, and like so like there's stuff out there. It's just not 2-minute, you know, Tim Hutchins segments right now.
Rinky dink videos of look at me, I'm special. Let's go all the way back. You're talking about, you know, your body of work. I want to go all the way back. I just recently saw the short film you did, The Rooster Project.
Oh, that was my friend Mike Mayfield, and I voiced a character in it, but that was his creation. Yeah,
no, for sure. But it was really cool because when I watched it, I was just like, okay, I got to look up Mike Mayfield because it felt so familiar. And then I went to see, and he went on to work with the King of the Hill, American Dad, China, Illinois, Mr. Pickle's Big Mouth, The Midnight Gospel. And I was like, wow, that's really awesome. It felt very Courage the Cowardly Dog like. You know, and I thought that was pretty cool. Going through again a little more on your YouTube side, not to step on your toes. Fuel TV.
No, I don't care. Like
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Stuff I have on there. I'm not like some like whatever. It's not like some starch thing. It's just, or staunch thing. It's just sort of like, yeah, I don't know. Like I don't think like if I describe like, you know, like Good Neighbor who ended up going to SNL and stuff, like they put stuff on YouTube and like they could be described as YouTubers, but I feel like it's a different genre what they do than like, what's up guys? Check out this sandwich I made.
What kind of sandwich you make today? I'm just kidding around. I think like YouTube more or less has become like, it's almost like a resume of sorts. Like it is, I felt like a long time ago, it was like a platform. There was stuff that I was doing before Marshall and I had gotten together and Marshall was doing stuff. And that's how a lot of us were doing. Like The Lonely Island was one right off the bat that, you know, kind of, you know, really did put YouTube on the map. And I was just like, wow, what is this? And I do agree. It has become something totally different.
Yeah, like there's YouTube culture. I mean, like I feel like, yeah, of course I'm a YouTuber. I put stuff on YouTube, so like, you know. But I
like the Facebooker thing though.
Yeah,
I've heard you say that before. It's pretty funny.
The archetype or the whatever the world of that stuff, unboxing and like this is, you know, this is what I did today, guys. Like, what's the guy? He was in New York. I'm forgetting his name. He always wears glasses. And he like does world adventures. Oh, what the hell's his name? Now he's
It's not Jeffrey Epstein, right? I'm just kidding around. Wears glasses?
I can't believe I'm forgetting his name now, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Just people are always like, "This is my daily vlog," and it's like, yeah, if you want to do that, that's
Kevin Nealon. Kevin Nealon?
Huh?
Are you talking about Kevin Nealon?
No, Kevin Nealon's awesome.
Okay, I was gonna say because he does that hiking show where he's like walking through.
That's an interview. I'm curious.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say that. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's like a nice long conversation. It's like a podcast, but you're watching them hike.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What is really cool? It doesn't matter. Like it's driving me nuts.
It'll come to you when it comes to you. Interrupt me.
But that's it. Yeah.
There we go. Casey. Okay, I have no idea who that is, so I will take your word for it.
Yeah, like stuff like that, you know, like sure he'll get some nifty project or, you know, like make some whatever. It's just like that stuff is just sort of like, all right, cool, you got a new gadget and you talk about yourself constantly. Like, right. Like there's people I want to hear about and stuff when they come out with an interview. Like I just listened to the Jim Carrey interview on WTF. I'm like, that's cool, but it's also cool because you don't constantly hear from the guy.
Sure, for sure.
You know, pick whoever that's been around for a while where you're like, I'm curious about their work and their thoughts on some things. But if it's just like daily barfing crap out, it's like, you know, who cares?
All right. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I like less is more, but these days it's like more and more and more is better. And I still don't understand it.
Yeah. And like, granted, you know, like whatever the media landscape and what have you has certainly changed where you can't just sit. like a band can't release an album, just kind of like have 3 years to tour a little bit, and then they constantly have to remind people on the internet that they exist. That's just the way of it now. So again, I understand a lot of it is pragmatic, but I guess the things that fuel me are not reminding people I exist constantly. Like,
Sure.
I post stuff on Instagram I think's fun and weird and whatever, but it's normally just photos of funny people watching, or things I find interesting, or
fashion,
or creative, or I don't know, or I think important in the news to sort of put a little spotlight on here and there. But I don't need to get on and talk on YouTube for 8 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
But whatever, enough about that. Yeah.
Sure. Well, speaking of Fuel TV, tell me about that. When you were on Fuel TV, tell me, how did that all come about?
How it first came about is that Fuel TV is the first channel or anything I did any like legit television work that I did. And I first saw a Craigslist ad. It said it was looking for sketch groups for a segment on the show called The Daily Habit. And then I mean, like Blonde Chili, the name I work under, is like primarily me, but there's people I work with a lot. Like Mike Mayfield was one of them, and Paul Lewan, and then a few other people over the years. And but the two of them, I lived with them at the time, and whatever, we were making a lot of stuff together. Like like it would be my thing, and they would work with me and be part of it. And so I was just like, yeah, we're a sketch group. Like we didn't really do like, I mean, it's arguable we were, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It's semantics. But anyway, I was like, yeah, we're a sketch group. So we went in, and then we had done these videos for Channel 102, which was like Channel 101, but the New York version of us as these characters moving moms. And we showed them that. It's just like these sort of like Midwest soccer mom characters. And then they liked it, and then hired us to come on and perform as that. They're like, you won't get writing credit for this, but you'll be in it. And it's like, it's your idea. And we're like, all right, let's just do it. So get into it. So we did that, and that went well. And then it's funny, this guy Jeff Tully produced that, and then but after that, I didn't do another TV thing for a year outside of like extra work or something. And then a year later, I saw another ad on Craigslist that said Fuel TV sketch show looking for hot girls, and I was like, well, I'm not a hot girl, but that's interesting. That the one channel I've ever done anything for is doing a sketch show, which happens to be what I want to do. So I looked up the guy who posted it, and it was this guy, Ryan Flynn, this comedian. And then I realized he does a show at this place called El Cid. And at the time I was like, oh, I literally live down the street from El Cid. I can walk there in like 3 minutes. And so I just took a DVD, a compilation of my stuff. And I was like, well, let's go meet Ryan and say, hey, just ask him about it. And then Ryan was a really nice guy. And he was like, yeah, I'll be happy to send this up, or I'll hand this to the producers. And then he did that. And then the producers got in touch with me, and they're like, yeah, I would love you to do a couple segments. And so then they just like gave me, like, I literally went to their house in Echo Park, and they just gave me a check. And I was like, okay.
Sure. Sign me up.
And then I did some segments for them, and they went really well. Then they just hired me to do another little bushel of them. And sort of the show that I was on at that point was called Stupidface. And what it was sort of similar to the old Liquid Television, or what later came after Stupidface was like the Funny or Die show, where the format is there's like an umbrella producer that hires segment producers, and all the sketches are produced by different segment producers. Like one segment producer could basically produce a segment, hire the actors, the writers, the director, and everything, and it's its own bit. Or some people were actors and directors, but they didn't, I don't know. Anyway, the way I worked on it for myself was I would produce the segment, but then I would direct the segment and star in the segment, write the segment, edit the segment, and then I would only hire people to shoot and do graphics on occasion. So
wow, that's awesome.
The majority of the money it was great. It was kind of like a Wild West production in the sense that like there wasn't much restrictions on how you spent the money. And since I was doing so many of the steps myself, like it was a nice little, I mean, I wasn't rich by any means on it, but like I was making off better with the pay that I was getting because I was doing everything. And that kind of became my grad school for film.
That's really cool.
Which I planned to go to, then I didn't. So Stupidface became my grad school essentially.
That's awesome. And you said you found that all through Craigslist?
Yeah. And then going and meeting people and talking. But also, like, none of it would work if I didn't have like a DVD of stuff I made prior to show them. I'd just be another guy talking about I want to do something.
Right.
So that's where making your own stuff always comes in handy.
Sure. That's awesome. Tell me about the inspiration for Funnel. I know you wrote, directed, and edited that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
Funnel. So after Stupidface, I did a pilot with Comedy Central. And then that didn't go. And then I ended up, one of the characters from that pilot was my Jesse Miller character that I'd done different sort of iterations of. And then I was like, I really like that character. I want to keep doing something with that. So I started doing a live talk show with that character. And that became the next pilot I did with Comedy Central. And then that one didn't go. And then after that, I was like, fuck TV development. Okay. And I went back to Cincinnati for Christmas. And then I was like, all right, I really want to like, was up until then, I'd mostly do some characters that were, I don't know. I feel like they were grounded. They were like based off of archetypes in reality, but they weren't similar to my own, I don't know, my own personal demeanor. And just as an exercise, I wanted to try shooting some stuff just because up until then, kind of goes back to our YouTube conversation. I thought like, oh, just some version of myself. That's a little self-indulgent. I don't feel like I'm really delivering some like a spectacle of sorts or something like bigger that an audience would enjoy. But at this point, I just spent like a year and a half just being Jesse Miller like all the time. And I was like, well, this would be a good exercise to do just to maybe have it and it'll help me act and other stuff and blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like came out of an exercise. So I shot 3 segments when I was home over Christmas that year. One was just one called Bus Stop, which is on YouTube, where it was basically I still acted very different from myself, but I dressed more like myself. And then there was another man on the street one just called like, I don't know, walking around Cincinnati or something, where I just interviewed people as myself and was just kind of whatever, joking somewhat. And then the other one was Funnel. And the sort of the idea behind Funnel was just like, okay, I want to tell a short story where I'm not really making it for a TV pitch where it has to be like real slick and real quick. I'm not making a TV segment or it needs to be like a tight 2 minutes or an internet segment or it needs to be a tight 2 minutes or whatever. I was like, this is like not some like breakthrough idea, but just it was a change of pace of what I've been doing. I was like, I just want to do something that the length of it serves the story and that alone. And then, maybe put in some festivals where people will focus on the piece and that's it. And then I had collaborated with Bob Odenkirk on my first pilot and a couple things after that. And then, so anyway, I showed him the first cut of it or the first cut that I would show anybody anyway. And he was like, oh, I love this, dude. This is my favorite thing you've done so far. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
That's awesome.
That's, I didn't expect that just because I thought I liked it, but I was thinking like, like I was saying, it wasn't like much of a spectacle or a big, like, energy burst. So I was thinking maybe this will be boring for people, but let's just make it and do whatever. And then he was like, dude, you should put this in some festivals. You should submit this to Sundance. And at the time I never thought of even submitting to Sundance, not because I was dismissive of the festival or anything. I just thought like, they probably don't do stuff like I do.
Right.
Or whatever. Like it wasn't, it just like if someone was like, yeah, you should put something on the Food Network. I was just be like, I don't think the stuff I do would make, I mean, sure, I'll submit,
Sure.
I mean, they're pretty different entities, but you know what I mean? Just that was,
gotcha.
I thought about it in a way that I just wasn't even thinking about it and then submitted it. And he was like, if it helps, I don't know, if you want to put it like presented by me just to help get people to get more eyes on it or something. I was like, yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. And then it got in and then I got paired with Joe Swanberg's feature, Happy Christmas. And then it kind of made the rounds after that. So it played with a feature instead of a shorts block. I mean, it's great playing with a shorts block too, but
for sure.
The cool thing about playing with a feature is like, no one's going there to see, like, it's kind of weird. Like no one's there to see your short.
Right.
Which, on one hand, you could look at it as a bummer, but on the other hand, it's great because it's like a little Trojan horse, like, and people seem to, and I was lucky that people just responded to that one really well. It was like the first thing I made that was like a little hit,
Cool.
So, and that's something you can't plan for. And then that year they put a number of shorts on YouTube the day the festival began. And also with that, when they first suggested that, I was like, man, I want to do the festival. I mean, it wasn't the festival and I was like, I want to detract from it. But then I just thought, I was like, why would I not have Sundance put it on YouTube? That's a great opportunity. Like eventually it's going to end up on YouTube anyway, like everything that'll ever exist.
Right.
So that happened and it made the rounds where, and then so anyway, that was good. And then that basically from there opened opportunities for me to meet with like film companies and production companies that make movies.
Right.
Not just sort of like, oh, I'm a TV comedy guy. Like I'm also potentially a film comedy guy, you know? And so I don't know, none of them are easy mountains to climb, but at least, I'm trying to get access to the mountains I want to climb.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. I was going to jump into the characters, but you did already bring up Jesse Miller. So I want to bring him up. Is that something that was put together during Fuel TV, or was Jesse Miller kind of this character you had in the back of your mind? Could you kind of go into that a little bit? And the reason I ask is I saw one of the funniest things I believe that you have done, where you went to a Bengals Chiefs game.
Oh yeah,
we're walking around. I don't know if that was so much Jesse Miller as it was just you being you. I just think
that was definitely Jesse Miller.
Okay, I thought it was with the tattoos, and you're walking around showing people, are those real tattoos? You're like, hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Shaking beers with all these like random Bengal fans. I thought that was hysterical. But yeah, if you don't mind just going into Jesse Miller a little bit.
Well, Jesse Miller, like, yeah, he definitely predates the Comedy Central pilot and Stupidface. Like, I was originally that kind of character. I mean, I feel like a lot of regions have their version of that archetype, you know.
Sure.
But I had the Cincinnati version, Norwood or Northern Kentucky version of it, you know. And then, yeah. So anyway, it was always in my mind. And then I'd say, yeah, well before Stupidface, I was already doing a version of that named Casey Tuttle, who was very similar. And then I ended up doing Casey on Stupidface, and then later when I did Comedy Central, I kind of had to switch up the name for just whatever bureaucratic garbage, and then became Jesse.
Casey
Miller.
was the orange soda guy, right?
No, that's Dusty.
Dusty. Okay, is Casey? Yeah. Dusty. Is Dusty the like? You're listening to like a Christian song?
Yeah, he's like
he's
this
always by my side.
Yeah, he's like this space case burnout who's like gospel music and orange soda.
Dude, oh my God, I love him. But yeah, keep going about just
like in the street dweller universe a little bit, you know.
Sure. I think it's funny
for the comedy and the Comedy Central stuff, and then like I was doing the live talk show as Jesse, and that created its own sort of world, and I like doing that. When the film stuff started taking off more, I had for a while, for a few years, I was doing the live show with the Daryl and Tanya characters with Paul Wynn and Annalie Lawson, and then when the film stuff came up, like I wanted to like take advantage of that and lean more into that, because that's where I ultimately wanted to go. So I didn't stop doing the live show, but I wasn't doing it like every month how I had been, and that's, I mean, you guys do this show, it's like, even though you could be like, oh, it's just one night a week or once a month, it's like a grind prepping everything.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I don't know. Like now thinking back, I wish I had recorded all those live shows and made podcasts out of them.
Oh, that would have been,
that would have been the wise move to do, instead of just being this ephemeral fucking thing,
I was gonna say, either way, Jesse Miller is one of my favorite things that you've done. I think it's hysterical, and I do agree. Yeah, everybody kind of has their own take on it, but I don't think anybody does it as good as you. I think. Oh well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times when people try to tackle those kind of characters or archetypes, a lot of times they're very superficial, and they're just like, I'm a hillbilly and I have sex with my cousin and eat raccoons, or whatever, and like have a big jug with 3 X's on it, or a big cat or something. It's just sort of like that's pretty corny.
No, that's not
corny. I like to make it very real and grounded, like as ridiculous as real can be.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Well, I think you do a really good job at that. Let's go into the fourth a little bit. Again, something you wrote and directed. You only did this in how many days now?
Well,
filming wise.
Well, I'll just give you the short of it. From late May to November, we shot 12 days spread over that span. So technically 12 days total, but it started with a chunk of 4 days, late May, early June. And then I was editing what we had. And then 4th of July weekend, shot 3 more full days. And then after that, I had a full feature, like the rough cut.
Right.
And then, because I was editing it too, I could be like, oh, this scene needs a little more clarification. So, and, it'd be great to add a little scene in here to sort of spice up the momentum of this part of it or whatever. And then, it'd be great to shoot some stuff to have during the end credits. So, to make a little meal out of that. So the first 7 days were the main primary bulk of it. And then there was 5 sort of half-day pickup day sort of shoots that were sprinkled between August and November, I think it was.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
But it was a crazy quick turnaround, because I wrote it in April and it premiered at Sundance in January. That's kind of like the crazy takeaway. It's just like, It went
That's
from non-existing to be a movie premiering.
Wow. Where did that thought come from? The 4th of July, the 4th.
Well, kind of like the approach I take to a lot of things. It's like, well, at the time, just to give you some context, so I did Sundance with Funnel and met a lot of places, and I ended up doing a pilot for Fox for TV, another sketch show I did with the Lonely Island Guys company, and then that was great, and then didn't go, and then after that, I was like, all right, I want to make a movie, and then there was another script I had written at the time, a more not traditional movie necessarily, but like all the stops, like a full traditionally formatted script and all that. Any old bonehead could read and understand, I'll get to why I'm describing it that way, but like,
Sure.
And then there's producers and stuff attached to that for a period. And I was just like, all right, well, this is, I guess, how you make a feature, like this is the process. And it was just meetings. And I felt like it was, it was nice education and stuff, but it was just getting to the point. It was like a year long of meetings, essentially talking about foreign sales appeal and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And it's not, that stuff's not wrong. It's not wrong. It's just, I don't know. I feel like there's more than one ways to skin a cat, and
Gotcha.
Everybody has their own, advantages and disadvantages to how they like to make stuff. But anyway, it went on for a while. And then while that was going on, I was like, I need to make something. So I was like, I'll make a short. And I wanted to edit that film that we were in talks about making, but they were like, they were going to either edit it on the new Premiere or Avid. And I don't like using Avid, but I was like, I need to learn the new Premiere because at that time I was using Final Cut, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I was like, I need to shoot something so I can learn this other editing program. And at least I'll have shot something because I'm sick of not shooting anything.
Sure.
And then, so I was like, I'll shoot a short over 2 days. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, I should just make this into an experiment, just see if we can shoot a whole feature in 4 days. Because at the end of the day, depending on what your story is, the nuts and bolts, everything are the same. You have actors and camera and audio, and you do it either for this amount of days to get this much done or this amount of days to get this much done, more or less.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'm not making some like big declaration, like I'm gonna make a feature in 4 days. It was just like, let's just do an experiment, see how far we get along. And if we don't make it, that's okay. We'll have something that we will have made. And
Right.
it was very upfront in a sense that just sort of like, this is just a low budget, no, nothing, anything. So, when I was asking people for favors or to come perform in it or help on it, and just sort of like, there's no money here.
Right.
And, so if you don't want to do it, I 100% understand. This is just, just something I'm trying to do. But if you do it, I think it'll be pretty fun, and I was very fortunate that pretty much everybody was like, yeah, I'm down. If it worked with their schedule, they were like, yeah, sure. And I tried to parcel it out where outside of like, my main inner circle or whatever you want to call it, wouldn't have to be there for too many days. You know what I mean?
Just stretched in.
Real lucky and fortunate that people did, give me their time and their talent to be a part of it. And then anyway, so shot those 4 days and was like, this is great. We'd always planned to shoot like a half day on 4th of July just to sprinkle in footage of actual fireworks.
Sure.
The place I lived at the time, like the neighborhood would like blow up with fireworks. I mean, was, like up until about a week ago was all of America exploding with fireworks.
Right.
That in Jacksonville, like the nonstop fireworks.
It was like, yeah, I've heard it. Like Jacksonville, New York was another one that was like going
LA
crazy nuts.
Yeah.
LA, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
But anyway, back when fireworks were fun.
Yeah. right. Trying to sleep here. Yeah.
So like what happens anyway? We're gonna get shots or like that's a little cheat to get good production value. We'll just record fireworks. Not that there's like really super dynamic shots of fireworks, but it's certainly part of the atmosphere of the movie. Yeah. Especially taking place the 4th of July. Oh, but the reason I got to it being the 4th of July was just when I was setting off to do something, I was like, all right, well, I like to say like, what do I have? Because if I just use what I have in my, in my story, then I already have everything I need for my story, essentially. So, I was like, all right, I have a house that I live in, an apartment or whatever. So that's a location. And then it has a yard. Okay, I have a grill. Okay, what would be an event you could do in a yard? All right, a cookout. And then like, all right, so this guy's trying to do a thing. Like, how would I make that sort of bigger in just a sense and give it something that's more, broad strokes? Like, oh, 4th of July. Now it's a holiday movie. And also we can shoot on 4th of July, and that's a little bit of production value with fireworks. And also, like a lot of the extras and stuff. I was like, it's just like coming to a cookout at my house. So I used to have big like cookouts at that house. And just be like, it's just like that. Just like, it'll just be longer and just don't look at cameras, but otherwise it's the same.
That's awesome.
You know, so
That's really cool.
so we actually shot the end of the movie first, just because of scheduling, which is always not my favorite way to do it.
Right.
But, you know, like whatever. It's like it's all pretend anyway. Um, but I don't know. That's how it came to be. And the car I used in the movie, my Volvo wagon, actually
Mhm.
someone drove into the side of it while I was parked and trashed it. So
Shit.
there's a scene in the movie where I actually bought a new Volvo, my next car that I just had until recently, and then we just shot it at an angle at night where you just saw the silhouette of it, but the car went from black to silver. But
Really?
got it, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I think, as I said, I did not catch it. That's pretty fun. And I do love how the intro is very funnel-esque with the
Oh yeah,
talking on the cell phone and everything. I was just like, okay, this is so cool. It was just like so what you were doing, and it was just cool seeing it major motion picture. You know,
yeah.
Marshall and I had gotten together and watched that together, and that was awesome. I think we even posted that on social media and whatnot. The social media, as
Well, that's what I love. Send it, get it out there.
that's right. That's right. I'm doing things. All right.
Well, I do appreciate that, because there's like 8 million. There's everything that's new you can watch, everything that's ever existed you can watch, and social media itself, and video games and phones. So to have anybody give any attention to anything is pretty crazy now.
It these days it is, and the fourth was really awesome. Let's go into the death of Dick Long.
Sure.
Earl Wyatt. Is that somebody you knew, or is that somebody you met in Alabama?
No. Well, like Daniel Scheinert, who's directed that, they had Swiss Army Man at Sundance the same year that my movie, when the fourth was there. And then I guess we'd met there at we had a lot of mutual friends and people in sort of the film comedy, arty film comedy people community or whatever. So we had crossed paths a few times. So he was familiar with me and familiar with my Jesse Miller character. And then he didn't want me just to come do Jesse Miller, but like, you know, those two characters or guys are cut from a similar cloth or culture, or you know, they're different regions. But anyway, so he knew that, you know, maybe I could do this character, because, you know, they're very into sort of grounded surrealism, or I don't know, surrealism, but just grounded craziness, you know.
Sure.
That's what I'm into also. So I actually auditioned for both roles, but primarily Earl though, but I read for Zeke at one point too. And then just, yeah, I read with Daniel at his apartment a few times, and then he liked it. And then, you know, and then once I had it, then we sort of explored the character more, if you will.
Sure.
Like asked me to write like a list of things Earl had done in his history. And I remember one of them, he got arrested for throwing chairs in a fountain. That was like one of the things I came up with.
That sounds like an Alabama thing to do. Was that the first time you'd ever been to Alabama filming that?
Say what?
I said, was that the first time you'd ever been to Alabama filming Dick Long?
I went there a while ago for this thing called Red Bull Writer's Block, which was when I used to do a lot of graffiti. I went and I made a documentary about graffiti. Like I did graffiti and made a documentary about it. And then I was invited there to be a judge on this graffiti documentary panel and to participate in painting. And it was at this place called Sloss Furnace, which is this old refinery that's now like an event space. But anyway, that was the first time I went, and that was actually really fun and had nothing to do with any of this. And then I guess the first time I ever went to Alabama, that was in Birmingham. The first time I went was like in Huntsville, and I went with my parents, and we went to that, like, we didn't like attend space camp, but there was like a NASA place where you could like for a day, like, you know, check it out and go on little anti-gravity teeter-totters or stuff. It was pretty cool. So I guess the first time I went, I was like 12. But anyway, the next time was later, and doing the writer's block thing. And then after that, I went on the Triple Dippers comedy tour with DJ Doug Pound.
That was like 2014, 2015.
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah.
And we played in Birmingham. What was the place called? The Bottle Tree, I think is where we played. And they had a Windstream trailer or Airstream trailer behind the venue. And that was pretty cool. So I've been there a few times, but I mean, definitely for the death of Dick Long, I was there for like 5 weeks versus like an evening or an afternoon or a couple nights or whatever. So, and we were in Bessemer, Alabama for the most part, which is like 30, 40 minutes outside. And it's kind of like, imagine like a Flint, Michigan of the South. Sort of.
Oh boy.
It's like equal parts like depressing Really interesting and also really funny.
Yeah. Alabama is a riot.
The sights and sounds or whatever, it's an interesting place. I had a good time. I'm not dogging it. It definitely had like a haunted house vibe around where we stayed. It was like you'd walk around and be really quiet, but there's all these big houses and you just feel like you were being watched. And then if you just stop and kind of look around, you'd find someone up in their window looking at you. Like, I'm not joking. And the house we stayed in, I don't know whether you believe in ghosts or not or whatever. It doesn't really matter. There was like shit in the house that was like bizarre. Like me and Michael Abbott Jr., the guy who played Zeke, him and I just stayed in this huge house that used to be a brothel, like back in 18 whatever to like 19 something, and then families had lived there since then. But there was a portrait in the front hallway of, I think, the former madam of the house. There's like a plaque on the place. This isn't like some like thing we made up. There's a plaque describing that it used to be a brothel way back when. And then
this sounds like a Scooby-Doo episode gone wrong.
It's totally a Scooby-Doo episode. And you remember like in Ghostbusters 2, like what's his name, Vigo, or the guy in the portrait, like like an old-timey like 1880 brothel madam looking at you the same way that Ghostbusters 2 painting did. And I took a photo of it, and then I was like, sorry, I'm not doing anything weird with, like, I apologized to like the portrait, and it's just like that vibe. And then there was like, no joke, I mean, whatever, I'm not making this up, I don't know what it was. So if you believe in ghosts, it was a ghost. If it wasn't a ghost, I don't know what the fuck it was, and it was creepy. But you would just be in a room, like brushing your teeth or hanging out, eating, whatever it was, and then no joke, it would just sound like at random times, because I was like, is that the pipe or something? And we heard the pipes, they were different sound. You'd just be by yourself, and then all of a sudden you'd hear, like over your shoulder, like imagine someone right there, you'd hear.
Ooh.
Yeah, like it gives me goosebumps thinking about it, honestly. Like whatever that was, it was really creepy. And then there was like times where you hear a door open and footsteps, and it was just the two of us there. And there's a time where like knocking at the door, and Mike answered the door, and no one was there. It was totally like a weirdo Scooby-Doo house, and like it's a big house, and we're like, oh, we should just have the crew and everybody over here for like have a party here, like utilize the space. It's got a great porch, blah blah blah. And then like half the people from the crew were like, dude, I don't know how you sleep here. There's like a creepy vibe here, like. And we kept finding rifles in the house. Like we went into this one like room in the base. Like the basement was like a big like Alabama like Roll Tide like party room or whatever. Like everything was in red with all these portraits of the Alabama coach. There was like 4 rooms off the side of it, and I remember going in one and like tripping over a rake, and I was like, oh, I tripped over a shovel or something. Looking down, I was like, oh, I just tripped over 2 rifles. Okay. And then we found a couple more rifles in the house, and like we weren't even like snooping. It was just sort of like there, and then. Found a photo of Vanilla Ice, like a photo like someone took at like a motocross event of Vanilla Ice. Not the haunted part, but amusing anyway.
How long were you there for? How long did you stay?
5 weeks, so a little over a month.
Yikes!
Yeah.
Yikes! Wow. Well, that's good. I mean, the Death of Dick Long. I have one question for it, and spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen it. Great movie, first and foremost. It took me a while. I was like, okay, where's this going? This is kind of what happened. And I'm sitting there watching it.
No spoilers.
All right, no spoiler. And I pause it right before you find out what truly happens to Zeke. And I unpause it, and they tell you what it is. And I'm like, okay, now where is this movie going? The whole time I'm sitting there trying to put pieces together, trying to figure it out. Ends up having a great twist. It's really funny. Acting was convincing. Everything, to me, I thought that was better than 90% of the movies that I've seen in the last decade. Like I was just like, wow, this is really, really good. Not so much a comedy, very dark comedy, but really great story. And it was super awesome. I was sitting there watching it. Zeke's wife. I was like, how do I know this actress?
Oh, yeah, Virginia.
Yeah, she was in Teeth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's Jess Wexler.
Jess.
Who played Dick Long's wife? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Rich. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting them all confused. Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay.
Yeah, she was in Teeth. Great movie. You've seen that before, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's good. She was also in the new It. She
It Chapter 2.
The wife of the filmmaker who's making the movie in the movie.
That's some Inception stuff right there. Let's all right. And then recently, I know you were directing John Glazer Loves Gear.
Yeah.
How do you like directing?
I enjoy it. I mean, I first like approached everything as a filmmaker first more than a performer. I don't know. It's all kind of wrapped up into the same, but like I like directing a lot. I mean, the thing that was different about doing John's show versus like, I've been directing for whatever forever as long as I can, but like the big difference there was like I was directing a whole season of somebody else's idea. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which as someone who makes stuff, there's a part of you that goes, I want to be doing my own thing. But purely just directing, I mean, it's really great to just be like, I'm going to set every day, pretty much. And like I'm directing. And also, since it's not my thing, I don't have to worry about performing. I didn't have to write this. I didn't, there's a lot of responsibility. There's lots of responsibility as the director.
Right.
Compared to how I've operated in a lot of other things, there's like a lot less. Just sort of like in Dick Long, like I can just totally focus on performing. I don't have to worry about running and checking the shot myself and blah, blah, blah. There's always a part of my brain that's a little in that area, no matter what I'm doing. But yeah, I think it's great. It's just like, oh, I get to focus on this. It's like, I don't know, when people exercise, like today's a legs day, it's like, all right,
right.
Worry about that, So it's like that. I really enjoy it. I want to do, I want to do more of it,
Cool.
Now's a weird time for everybody because everything's kind of on hold more or less, So, but yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed it. Like to do more of it. But I'm now eager to make my own thing again. Of course, if there's projects out there that seem really interesting and that also want me to be part of them.
Anything out there right now that catches your eye? That's something you're like, man, either I wish I would have thought of, or I'd love to be a part of.
Oh, I guess there's always stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, it ebbs and flows.
Anything off the top of your head you can think of recently?
That looks like fun or something.
Yeah, sure. Something you're like, that's very Andre Hyland.
I was late to the Ozark thing. That was like my quarantine. Like, I'll try it. I've heard it's great a million times, and then I blasted through that. But I don't know. Not that I'm making some sort of big statement or anything like that. But normally, I don't know. Just because, like, I probably won't end up on Ozark.
Well, you got to talk to Jason Batman, right?
Oh yeah, I did. See,
awesome.
I got my little Ozark moment.
Yes.
I would love to do more of those. Those are fun doing.
Those were so funny.
But now all that shit is just Skype. I mean, with good reason. But like, I don't know if that format is going to exist again anytime soon. But I certainly enjoy doing the celebrity interview stuff as like a weird character. I love doing that. That's really fun.
It seemed like, excuse me, anybody that you would interview, it was just very funny to watch them kind of almost in a way watch you. And kudos, not breaking character essentially at all during any of those. And people were just like, okay, is this guy for real? Like, were you giving them a heads up that you're like, hey, I'm kind of coming in hot? Or were you just like,
no, I mean, the only one where it wasn't even a heads up. Well, I'll tell you the normal ones and I'll tell you the one that was different.
Shoot.
Typically how I approach it is it's some actory stuff, but like, it's just easier for me to stay in character. Like, because like, I don't know, you don't want to show your cards and then go into something. Then like whatever truth is there is gone, like these people are savvy to a degree, of course, like, I'm going in there to interview or like, some sort of like weirdo-y interviewer is not like a new thing. I think most people who do it suck at it. I'm not even being snobby. I think most of anything is either typical or not very interesting.
Yeah, sure.
That's why you like the interesting, good stuff. But anyway,
right.
There's like a typical sort of archetype for those. So I'm coming in, I look like some dude they just saw at the bus stop out front. So they're already like, all right, this is, either this guy's doing a thing or he's a weirdo, but you got to look good and talk about this movie. So, all right. And then, like, so the thing that they don't, I think what they figure out is they go, okay, this guy's up to something, but we don't know if he's pretending to be this guy or if he is this guy. And then is his intention, if he is like a weirdo, crazy interviewer, most of them are hacky and their whole goal is to make the person they're interviewing look like an ass.
Sure,
and that's my goal. Like sort of, I mean, there's brilliant versions of that, very few, like Sacha Baron Cohen does things, but that's a whole different sort of game. But like with these, like sort of a lot of my approach to a lot of my comedy is like, I'm sort of this walking butt of my own joke. And then I sort of put my whatever that joke is and mix it in with reality, and sort of the fun is just watching other people interact with that walking joke, or naive entity or whatever it is. So I think a few moments into it, they'll realize like, oh, his questions aren't geared at looking or making us look stupid. This is just a weird thing. And like, okay, let me get my bearings within whatever this is. And I think a lot of times it ultimately becomes fun for them because it's a nice change of pace from, people going like, was there any pranksters on set? What was it like working with this celebrity, or whatever? I'll ask those questions too, but it's like in jest of those questions.
Right.
And I think a lot of times they appreciate that.
Oh, for sure. And it was all of them were very organic too, which was great because, I not to hate to use the word you fooled them or anything, but I don't know. I just think they were very kind of taken back at first. They would get kind of comfortable around you. And then it got like Horrible Bosses 2 is the one I'm thinking of off the top of my head that I thought was like, you had Sudeikis laughing, Charlie Day and Bateman going. I think you're wearing you were talking about the wardrobe. I think you were wearing like jorts. Nobody walks up, I'm going to interview you wearing jorts.
The funny thing, the tough part of those is like once I'm in the room, if we can get rolling immediately, it normally flows really well.
Gotcha.
It sucks when you go in and all of a sudden I have to change a battery and you're just kind of sitting there and you don't want to like use all your juice, when things aren't working right. And there's a couple times where it's happening. Ultimately, it doesn't like stop me from doing what I'm doing, but it's just sort of like it's a stall. Like, I don't want to show what I'm going to do and waste that energy when things not rolling and then have to repeat. It's like, here I am, I'm this weird whatever, like, let's go, rather than like, I'm this weird whatever, what is your deal, blah 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 blah, and that all takes place and transpires before they start rolling. That's the worst. And then the thing that I have to be careful of is like the publicist, not so much the publicist, but there's like a lot of the way those are set up, they'll have like hotel suites rented out to do these interviews in, and in each one they'll have, I guess, whatever these companies are that run those rooms, they are in charge of the footage and whether you get them or not. And then there's these people that are sort of like chaperones to make sure that room is run well, and like make sure I'm not actually a maniac. They're the ones who talk to that, but so like sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times when I would do my stuff, like I'd go in, they'd be like, if I'm Access Hollywood, they might get like 7 minutes. I'm like piddlywink from wherever, so they'll be like, you get 2 minutes or you get 4 minutes, or normally it's like 3 minutes I get, something like that. But as soon as they start saying like it's weird, they're like, wrap it up. I could be like a minute and a half into it and I have to kind of just put my blinders on to the sort of authority in the room and sort of ask my questions. And my only saving grace is that I can sort of win over the people I'm interviewing to some degree, that they'll indulge this. Like, I have to create sort of like a vibe, kind of knock them off of their comfort lane, but then bring them back to a comfortable place so we can conduct the thing. So it's kind of like fluff typical question. So that guy leaves me alone, and then I can get weird, but they're comfortable enough to indulge the weirdness, and then I can get what I need and leave. And that's kind of the little obstacle course when you go in there. The only one that was kind of different though was the in knowing something was the Horrible Bosses one, actually, because I knew Charlie Day from a separate thing. That ended up not happening, but we knew each other a bit. So he was like enthusiastic about it when I came in the room, but they didn't know I was coming in. They didn't know the bit I was going to do or the questions I was going to ask or anything like that. But that was the only one where it was sort of a tip. And then that one I did through Funny or Die. And then the Night at the Museum I did through Funny or Die also. So I think that lets people know it goes both ways. Like they know it's a comedy thing.
Right.
So the people running the room are far more comfortable. They're like, oh, it's a funny thing. So, okay, but not all the people, but a lot of the people you're interviewing kind of go like, oh, it's supposed to be a funny thing. This asshole is going to try to out funny me. And like, there was a couple like Ben Stiller and Ricky Gervais, like the way established people were totally chill, and they seemed they were like, it was like really fun to go back and forth with. But sort of the people in like the medium range of, they're in big things, but they're not quite whatever. They're way more like kind of like comedically defensive, I found.
They want to be the funny man in the room kind of thing.
Say what?
They kind of want to be the funny man in the room.
Yeah, I think that, and they just don't want to be bested or look like a fool when this is like a big opportunity for them, which I understand. But also, I know what my intentions are. So, and I'm
Yeah.
not there to sort of. This sounds like some reality show. I'm not there to impress them, but it's just like I'm not there to impress them. I'm there to do what I think is funny and great for my piece, and still make it out of there with the good graces to be able to get the footage.
Sure.
Like the night at the museum one, when I left, I was the last one to go, and then it took me a little while to get the cards with the footage on it, and then I got on the elevator and I had like a boner and all this stuff drawn on my face. So like you see it's like whatever, like Ben Stiller and Rebel Wilson and whatever, all these people drew like all this crass stuff on my face, but it's like a Sharpie, so I'm just stuck with it. So I'm just like, all right. And it's at this like nice hotel in New York. I get in the elevator and then all of a sudden I hear like, "Oh, that was really funny, mate," or whatever. I look over, it's like Ricky Gervais in the elevator. I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." But that was like the only time I like broke, because I was already like out of there and like in my own headspace.
Yeah.
But it was like, and he was like, "Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh so much. I hope I didn't ruin it." And I was like, "No, that's great."
Yeah, seriously, I made Ricky Gervais laugh. That's awesome. That's awesome. So what's next for Andre Hyland? What's on the horizon here for you?
Oh, big nap.
Big nap.
Take a nap.
God, you should make a sketch about that.
Yeah, or maybe I'll watch the second half of
yes,
The Old Guard. Watched the first half of that last night on Netflix. That's my immediate plan. But no, in general though, there's a feature that I have written that I just had a call about with all my reps today. Big Hollywood mover and shaker.
There we go.
So, but I don't know. That's my goal, is to make my next feature.
Could you let us in on it a little bit?
Say what?
Can you let us in on what you got in the works a little bit? Give us a taste.
Yeah, it's a heist movie. It's like a romantic comedy heist movie, but my version of it.
Cool. So, what's it titled?
That's top secret.
Okay. All right.
But also, I don't want, whatever. Like, it's like if I say the title, it's not like under lock and key or anything. I would just rather, if whatever.
I understand.
I appreciate you wanting to know what it's called, but
no,
I don't need 4 years from now to be like, whatever, did that ever happen?
Watching this video.
There's a few projects. There's a thing I am working on with Eric Andre that we're going to go pitch. So hopefully that becomes a thing that people can see. And
that's
then
awesome.
The feature that I've written that after this meeting today, I've got homework to do and notes to apply. So, but yeah, I want to make more features, and then, I would do TV also. I just have been through the TV development thing a number of times, and it became sort of less inspiring, but TV and streaming aren't going anywhere. It'd be great to have something that could be on Netflix or something like that,
Yes.
Whatever. I don't know. It's funny. The old places like Comedy Central and MTV, they've changed so much. I don't know. I don't know. It's a different world.
It is. A lot of things are just kind of streaming now. I mean, that's what we're hoping with this show. We're trying to do something a little different,
Yeah.
And we appreciate the time, Andre. Thank you so much.
We'll stay away from COVID.
Yes.
AKA Corona.
And we will not refer to ourselves as YouTubers.
Yeah. Don't call it the China virus.
I'm just a silly joke. Okay.
Oh, dude, you're canceled, dude.
This shit is over, bro.
Wear your mask, people.
Yes.
Mask. I mean, just do it. I walk around ingesting my own hot jogging, walking breath. Do it for me.
I love it.
Everybody out there who's got pre-existing conditions and all these are susceptible and all that,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to end on a serious note. Yeah, wear your goddamn mask. Let's beat this goddamn thing so we can go back to doing live shows and
yes.
Again.
Please. Andre, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
This means a lot, man. Thank you so much for giving us your time. We really appreciate it with everything going on and stuff.
Good luck with the Jaguars this season.
Yeah, same thing with the Bengals. Go Joe Burrow. I want to see him.
Hats in motion.
Yeah.
That was hard.
I don't know. That's hard. Have a good night, everybody.